Strap in, because the hardest takeoffs are about to begin. This Airbus A380 in the UK was fighting some crazy winds as it lifted off the runway. The gusts pushed it so hard that it had to lift off to the left, way off its intended path. This Airbus got absolutely hammered by crosswinds right after takeoff and was about to get thrown sideways. The pilot made a split-second call and managed to pull off a sketchy sideways takeoff to keep it in the air. At Manchester Airport, the Boeing 757 battled strong winds as it fought its way into the sky. The pilot handled the challenge with skill, completing a tough takeoff successfully. This Embraer lifted off but just couldn't gain any altitude no matter what. The pilot cranked the engines to max power and somehow managed to claw their way up into the sky. Under London's blustery skies, the Boeing 747 defied nature itself as it roared into the air. Watching that takeoff made you truly feel the thrill of aviation deep in your soul. This Airbus heading to Barcelona took off in some gnarly winds and was wobbling all over the place during takeoff. Despite getting tossed around pretty hard, the pilot managed to get it airborne and on its way. This Turkish Airlines plane faced strong winds, but the pilot's skill shined through with a smooth, safe takeoff. As this Edelweiss aircraft began its takeoff from Zurich Airport, a brief loss of engine power brought it back into contact with the runway, but it didn't give up. With a surge of determination, it powered through and climbed into the sky on its second push. This plane was just about to take off when a gust of wind literally twisted it sideways, but the pilot kept their cool and skillfully wrestled the plane back up into the air. In Frankfurt, this Lufthansa Airbus caught fire and started smoking during takeoff. Despite that, the pilot stayed calm and continued the takeoff. Would you have stayed that calm in a situation like this? This Airbus had barely gotten off the ground when it got slammed by London's infamous winds. The plane was practically flying sideways, but somehow the pilot kept it going and powered through the takeoff. This plane taking off from Manchester had to deal with both winds and a flock of birds at the same time. The pilot somehow juggled both nightmares and still managed to pull off the takeoff in one piece. This Boeing took off in strong winds, but the wings began to shake while in the air. As it battled turbulence, the shaking of the wings was clearly visible. At Manchester Airport, this aircraft performed an almost vertical takeoff followed by a sharp maneuver. For those watching, it felt more like an air show than a routine departure. This Volga-Dnepr cargo plane took off from Farnborough carrying a helicopter inside, and still managed to power through those harsh winds. Despite the heavy load, the pilot nailed the takeoff like it was no big deal. This United Airlines plane hit some trouble during takeoff, but the pilot's quick thinking saved the day. Thanks to their skills, they managed to power through and complete the takeoff safely. This Airbus taking off from Amsterdam created some absolutely stunning wingtip vortices during takeoff. The vapor trails swirling off the wings looked straight out of a movie. Over the skies of Farnborough, the Boeing 787 launched almost vertically, defying gravity like a rocket. The impressive maneuver gave onlookers a moment to remember. This Airbus heading to Dubai got twisted sideways by a sudden gust of wind right as it was taking off. The plane was basically flying at an angle, but the pilot fought through it and somehow completed the takeoff. This plane took off from London, and the pilot immediately banked it hard to the side right after liftoff. Clearly, this was some kind of tactical maneuver they had planned out beforehand. This Boeing 777 aircraft successfully took off in challenging weather conditions. If you were in that pilot's position, could you have done the same? This Boeing Dreamliner was getting absolutely hammered by crosswinds during takeoff. The pilot kept it steady though, and managed to lift off smoothly despite being pushed around. This Jet2 Boeing battled some nasty Manchester crosswinds and was tilting like crazy on the runway. The pilot's reflexes were on point and they powered through for a solid takeoff. Taking off from Birmingham, this Dreamliner got caught in brutal crosswinds that had it wobbling side to side. Somehow the crew kept their cool and wrestled it into the sky. This massive Silkway cargo hauler had to fight through wicked crosswinds while fully loaded. Despite the heavy weight, the pilot nailed the takeoff and got that beast airborne. Departing Heathrow, this 787 was getting shoved sideways by intense crosswinds right off the bat. The pilot made some quick adjustments and pulled off a textbook recovery takeoff. This Air Transat flight got rocked by crosswinds that had the nose pointing way off center during takeoff. The pilot corrected on the fly and still managed to get wheels up safely. This Lufthansa bird was fighting crosswinds so strong you could see it crabbing down the runway. The captain's experience really showed as they straightened out and climbed away perfectly. This Turkish Airlines jet got hit with crosswinds that nearly pushed it off the center line during takeoff. The skilled pilot kept it together and powered through like an absolute pro. This 737 was getting tossed around by brutal crosswinds that had one wing dipping dangerously low. Last-second corrections from the pilot saved it. This massive 747 Queen of the Skies lifted off from Birmingham fighting serious crosswinds the whole way. We appreciate you choosing our channel for today's flight. If you enjoyed the video, leaving a like and subscribing really motivates us. I'm always looking forward to your comments. I read every single one and reply to each individually. If you found this video interesting, I have another one on a similar topic. You can click on the video on the screen to watch it directly. And if you'd like to explore all of my content, feel free to check out the playlist also shown on the screen. See you on the next flight. For now, you can unfasten your seatbelt.